Hey everybody, Mike Harrelson here with Article 2 Industries again. Want to introduce you to another great member of the Article 2 team, Eric Schmidt. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Mike.
You guys all know Matt, you've seen his videos, and if you haven't seen our Glock 42 video, go watch it. It features Eric, but in case you haven't, let me give you a quick rundown again of Eric's bio. 26 years with the State Highway Patrol Agency. 22 of those 26, he was in 3 different resident posts. Before that, he did a stint with the Orange County Sheriff's Department in California. And Eric also is Weapons Inspector Range Master for his agency. Eric, great to have you. 2.5 decades of law enforcement experience. I want to pick your brain a little bit and get a little bit different perspective that a lot of folks who don't have that access don't have. Got some questions teed up for you here that you haven't seen yet. No pressure or anything.
Not feeling any.
Good. I want to know first, when we're talking, what makes a good defensive handgun? If somebody's thinking about buying a gun, what kind of handgun should they buy to defend their lives and their families with?
You know, the first thing that comes to me is reliability. There are some other issues, obviously. Accuracy was pointed out to me after I first thought about that. But I think also something that somebody feels comfortable with, somebody feels confident with. And so caliber comes into play into that some, but I think the way it fits in a person's hand, the caliber, I think those kind of things, reliability, pretty important.
Fantastic. Is caliber more important than maybe capacity of that firearm?
I would think you have to choose one over the other if I'm going to throw some theories out there. If I have a lower caliber, I'd like higher capacity. If I have a big caliber, I may be willing to give up some capacity. So I think it depends on which is more important, which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know.
Fair enough. So we need a gun that we can shoot well and get proficient with.
Yes, and feel confident with, yes.
Pretty simple. Yep. Okay, sounds good. So lights, we get a lot of questions about lights. A lot of people want to know about lights. Should you have a weapons mounted light on your everyday carry firearm?
Everyday carry, if you're carrying it at night, obviously that would be smart. I think in your house, you absolutely should have a light, because I think that there's a good chance you're going to be using it at night, and you have to identify what you're pointing your gun at, what you're shooting at. As far as on a day-to-day basis, if you're a businessman downtown, maybe you don't want a light on there. Maybe it just takes up too much space. It might cause more problems for you. But again, if you are going to go out at night, I would think that a light's a pretty good idea. Does not necessarily have to be mounted, but you should have one in your hand. Good point.
Fantastic. Seems like lasers are getting more prevalent. Now you have lasers built into grips where you just squeeze and they come on. Should I have a laser on my everyday carry handgun?
I have no experience with lasers. I don't know if they work well or don't work well. I have spoke to people who use them. A lot of people talk about chasing that beam as it floats around. One thing that I heard my brother mention, Matt Schmidt, you really should learn how to shoot well before you just simply put a laser on and think that that laser is going to make up for poor performance with your pistol through skills of your own. And so I would say learn to shoot first, then worry about a laser. I've never had a laser. I know lots of people who haven't. I always get a little nervous with technology. The more technology, the more chance something going wrong. So I don't feel the need for a laser, but if some people really need it, really like it, that's fine.
Honest answer, I love it. So that red dot floating out there is not going to overcome your lack of training and proficiency?
Absolutely not.
Fair enough. Okay. So I think a segment that we think a lot about, and I think is very important, not only to the firearms industry and the entire Second Amendment movement, but also just the mindset of personal defense and protecting your family. Women are a huge growing segment of the population coming into the firearms community. Tell me, when we think about women deciding whether or not they want a gun, what can we do to bring more women off of the fence into becoming gun owners.
Well, I don't know how we get more. I can tell you it's already happening. There's already a lot of women who have figured out that safety is on you. It's on me. If you're out there by yourself, it's on you. I think that's already a shift that's starting to happen, and I think it's a smart move. I think it's a smart move from women in this society, and it's fun to shoot. I don't know why they wouldn't want to try it.
Absolutely. Good part of this population, what, roughly half maybe, somewhere in that neighborhood, are women, and those women vote.
Yes.
Important to get women into the mindset and bring them over into the Second Amendment community, yes, firearms community. One of the questions that I like to ask cops, and I'm going to ask you this: you've been a firearms instructor, range master for a long time. You're responsible for training the guys that have the badge and the gun that are going to go out there every single day and put their lives in danger. When you're training those guys, what is the single most important thing that you impart upon them before you send them out there for their next shift?
Well, I think it's more than one single thing, so I'll try to cover this quickly. I want them to have faith in their weapon, and I want them to have faith in their ability. And another way of saying that is confidence in their weapons, confidence in their training. I want them to feel like they're prepared for what's coming at them. And if we haven't done that, then what's the point of the whole thing? Now, I will tell you that I think officers and students, those of you who are interested in guns, you've got to do this more than one time a month. That's one thing that's a fatal flaw in law enforcement. We train with our pistols once a month. We're probably better than a lot of departments. Once a month is not going to get you real sharp with a pistol. It's not going to get you real sharp with the tactics we're using. And as a civilian, I hate to use civilian versus police, but as someone who's not in law enforcement and isn't getting paid to practice, you've got to spend your own money. You've got to get out there and practice with the weapons that you choose, the guns you choose. And this can be a lot of fun, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
Critically important. That's a great point. Do cops get enough training, and do they get to you just put enough rounds down range in practice, or should agencies be putting more of the budget money towards some extra training with their sidearms?
No, first of all, no, police officers are not shooting enough. They're not training enough. And I put myself in that same bracket. But I really think it's on us. It's our lives. It's as you will be doing. It's up to me to protect myself. If I need to go out and buy extra ammo, I need to go to extra training. And it doesn't take a whole lot, just handling your weapon once in a while, practicing some drills even without ammo. If you can't afford to shoot, you can do a lot of things to get proficient with your weapon of choice without having to spend a ton of money. But it's something you need to do a lot of.
Dry fire. How much time do we spend on dry fire?
I love dry firing. Dry firing is it's something that has been so good for me, and maybe I hope as you tried dry firing, that some of those things work for you too. It really changed the way I shoot. I still like dry firing. Need to do it very safely, of course. How to clear your gun before you start dry firing. But dry firing is fantastic. There is almost no, other than live shooting, there's no other growth potential as you get from dry firing, in my opinion.
That's a great answer. So in teaching law enforcement, there's such a paradigm shift from teaching a cop who's getting paid to be there on the range and has to listen to you right now, to training a civilian who's either maybe paying for private training or doesn't know what they're talking about at all yet. How has your philosophy changed from training officers to training civilians?
I'm not sure with me it would change that much. There are a lot of law enforcement officers who are very poor shooters. There are a lot of law enforcement who don't like guns, or who don't love guns at the least. And so I don't see a whole huge difference between what citizens and police officers, unless you're talking special TAC teams and that kind of thing. If you're talking patrol officers, you're going to have the same problems, I believe, with patrol officers teaching them to shoot or having them shoot some more. If you take experienced shooters who are not in police work, they're doing pretty well. They know a lot of the skills, they know a lot of the tactics. They've picked up a lot of things over the years. You may have to tweak a little bit, as with anything, But I think that I don't think you're going to see a whole bunch of difference in training basic shooting, which I assume what you're talking about.
That's correct.
Because we're talking about being able to shoot a target, a pattern. As far as civilians, I would not be training them, and I don't have, I'm not sure that I would have the experience to train them anyway, for entries and chasing people down inside of buildings, that kind of thing. I have been trained on that, but I wouldn't try and training civilians on it.
Very good. Eric, we recognize your driver's license in all 50 states, wherever you drive. When are we going to get reciprocity for a concealed carry license for an average civilian across this country?
When?
If, will we?
I don't know. That would be nice. I think there's even bigger problems than that. As far as, because a lot of people aren't crossing with their CCW state to state. More of a problem to me seems to be some states just openly hostile to guns, openly hostile to the Second Amendment. And I think that when you begin to go down a road like that, and these are my opinions, the Second Amendment's the first easy, low-hanging fruit. After that, who knows where it's going to end? Are we going to stop at the First Amendment can be dangerous, the Fourth Amendment? I see some trouble if we're not able to get people to accept the fact that the Second Amendment is extremely important to our freedoms. Secondly, maybe only to the first. I think that I like the order that they're in, first then second. The second enforces the first.
Arguably, all the others are
Absolutely.
even able to exist because of the second, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Preaching to the choir. Everybody feels that way. Speaking of concealed carry, you hear a lot of people say they live in a nice neighborhood, they don't go into the hood, they're not going in the rough areas of town. A lot of folks that are licensed to carry just don't carry all the time. Do we get to choose when trouble comes and finds us? We're law-abiding citizens, we're not looking for it. What about people that only carry selectively?
Well, it sounds like the way you're putting it, like Russian roulette, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I try to always carry. I can tell you that, when I'm working around my house, I don't always have a gun on me. I do understand the problems associated with always having a pistol on you. But at the same time, as you've said, it seems like these things are always going to happen when you're not prepared necessarily for them. The day you're not feeling good, you're just carrying in some groceries. You either are going to take this seriously and take responsibility for your safety, or you're not.
Absolutely. He's a multi-decade professional in law enforcement. He gets up in the morning, he puts on his gun, he goes to work. Every single day he does that. Get up in the morning, put your gun on. When you get home in the evening, go to bed, take it off. Carry your gun. Thanks for watching. Look forward to bringing more content to you. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and by all means share. We welcome your comments. We want to answer your questions. Please feel free to send them in. Thanks again.
And thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.